So with Obzerv, it's always been about house music from the start. So it's something we stick to. Obviously, electronic music is very broad. So there's always influences from the electronic music spectrum that is going to influence house music. So you'll get some house tracks which sound like breakbeat, and you'll get house tracks that sound like old jungle tracks. So there's always influences coming from outside of house music into Obzerv, but primarily it's just house music. Distributing and selling my own music is something I've not actually done myself yet. All of my tracks that have been released have been released through other labels. Obviously it's something that I am looking into with regards to Obzerv. Actually Obzerv becoming a label and getting myself and some of the other DJs on board, start getting releases out there. Hopefully we'd get vinyl or digital releases under the brand. Obviously vinyl can be quite expensive and quite time consuming as well, so we'd have to look to make sure it's worthwhile for us in the long run. But yeah, vinyl's obviously my favourite format, so I'd love to have an Obzerv release on the vinyl format. So one of my last releases was released on a Canadian record label called M5, which is a fairly new label, but they're doing really well at the moment. They've had some good releases as of lately. So when I finished my last EP, I put that together and sent that over to them. Chris, the label owner, got back to me within a few days and said that he loved the EP and that he was hoping he could sign it. So obviously that was something that I agreed to, and that came out in February and did quite well. We've had a good few sales with that EP, and Chris said he had some good response with the early promo phase with regards to that EP. And then I'm travelling to Canada in June, and I spoke to Chris, told him I was heading over, so he's trying to line up a gig for me at the moment for when I'm over there for my holidays, so that'd be interesting. So it's opportunities like this that you do get once you've got your music out there and you've made contacts from all over the world. There's a chance that you could just be on a plane and play in Canada in the same year, so it's a great opportunity for everyone, and that's why it's important to get your music out all over the world if you can. So Obzerv was an idea of mine that I got while I was living in London in 2014. I was ticket selling for Egg, one of the main clubs in London, and they offered me the chance to host one of the rooms there, and obviously at the time I didn't have a brand or anything, so that was kind of where Obzerv came from. I had to come up with something quick to get myself this room at Egg, so I sat down with some of my friends and we came up with Obzerv, and I contacted one of my friends to do some branding for me, get it looking all professional, and then I went back to Egg and said, look, here's Obzerv, and we're ready to do some parties with you. So when I try and get myself some gigs, I'd usually just contact a promoter that's doing the same kind of vibe as what I'm doing, and I send them a mix, or I send them some tracks and links to any of my websites that I've got my work on there, and I'll just get in touch and I hope for the best really. Usually I get response straight away, say we're interested, or I'd get sometimes I just get blanked. But it's one of those, you've just got to keep going and going and asking as many people as you can, and then you'll get a response and you'll get yourself a booking. Gigs outside of Macclesfield, actually the majority of my gigs have been outside of Macclesfield. I've probably done about 4 of my own gigs inside of Macclesfield. The majority have been around Manchester and London. The biggest one for me was when I had the chance to play Fabric London, which obviously is one of the best clubs in the world. That was a huge achievement for me and something I've always wanted. I was in London with one of my good friends last year that I mentioned before, and he was working at Fabric for a brand called Wet Yourself, and they host the Sunday nights at Fabric every Sunday, and I've been doing it for years and years. And the last year I was working for them, and obviously became pals with the promoters there. So the last year we were sharing our music and our mixes with them, and didn't take him too long to get us a gig there. So that was really exciting. And then there was all of the egg gigs which we were getting from the ticket selling. And then again, through networking people out in London, more and more gigs just started coming in. We're getting a lot around the Shoreditch area, and then some back home in Manchester, and some in Liverpool as well, off the top of my head. Yeah, so most of the networking obviously comes from your events and going to other events, local to your area or in Manchester. And a lot of the people I try to get on board with Obzerv actually come from Macclesfield, because I like to get the artists in Macclesfield that wouldn't usually get the exposure. I like to get them on board and give them a push and get them in front of the spotlight. Something that I think is important, because if there wasn't brands like Obzerv helping people out in their hometown, then it'd be harder for these to break through, or just to even get themselves a gig. Not that I can think of. Obviously, when my music gets distributed, it gets sent all over the world. So I've had a few of my tracks played on a few radio stations. One of them was in Sweden, off the top of my head, and one was in Belgium. That was it, yeah, Sweden and Belgium. So up to now it's just Sweden and Belgium, but I'm hoping that obviously the more music I release, the more areas of the world that it will reach. Unfortunately not, I'd love music to be a full-time thing for me, but it's something I've always done alongside a full-time job with a co-op. But they've always been very supportive with my music. They've always accommodated my gigs and my travelling. But at the moment, I'm just focusing on getting as much music as I can finished and out there, and obviously just keep pushing myself, and hopefully one day it could be a full-time job for me.